understand because last year I was sitting here with the team and the people who are viewing this, who were watching back then, were talking, hey, who's going to vote? What are you going to vote? What are you going to vote? And everybody else hated Labour. What, the people who followed me hated Labour. They were, okay, perfect. All right, so you've only reform. Everybody else was saying reform, 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 reform. Now, we've elected reform. Now, reform got the viewership and they got the money and they got a little bit of credibility that they can actually rule because they've got the foot in the door. Now Nigel Farage is out there, is taking pictures, doing this. A lot of people now are disagreeing with him, but then again, you have to say, okay, cool. We definitely don't want Labour back in. We don't want them to be voted back in. Okay, can everybody agree with that? Yes, 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 yes. I'm sure you agree with that. Ben Habib probably agree with that. And now we got two parties: Reform UK, Ben Habib, Advance UK. Now we're saying, okay, so we are in the same team. I agree. Okay, perfect. You might disagree with what Nigel Farage thinks about what time to go to sleep and what time to leave the house, but we live in the same house. Can we agree? You might disagree with what Ben Habib is thinking about who's gonna clean the dishes and who, but we all living in the same team, and we want to see this house, this thing, grow up and have a turn into a nice fruity tree. We can't fight over small little things, because when we do, guess who's going to lead the country again? It will be Labour or something on the left. Or maybe the Conservative. I don't know about them. But maybe they might also... Because you have to know here, a lot of people are really, really hating on Ben Habib coming up with a new party. They're saying that he's bitter. Maybe he's jealous. And he's splitting up the party. And I've seen a lot of ethnic nationalists who are like, oh, Ben Habib he was not born in the UK, he's born in Pakistan, we should not have any foreigner in the government. Okay, I obviously those criticism, I'm like, all right, don't be a fucktard, stay away. If you're gonna share your opinion, make sure it's good enough for people to respond to the mainstream media type of conversation. But my question to you is, if we are all agreeing with no digital ID, no digital surveillance, close the border, stop mass immigration, put the British people first, all these things that we can all agree with, I'm sure we can agree who should be like the person who walks with a key in this house. We don't have to say, hey, I'm going out, I'm going to rent in another house, F you, give me my cut, I'm going outside. Don't you think that's a bit of what you doing? Because we all might not afford to even have a house after this. What do you think? Do you get where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I do. And I think, Baraka, the first thing to say is, whilst the rhetoric, what you've just posed there, is very true and very right, we need to take back complete control of what's going on. The question is an issue of trust and capability. And if you were to look very closely at Nigel, who has not been in power, has not governed, has not led anything apart from campaigning, and he's a very good one at that.
Yeah, he's really
but you
good
need
at
a group of people round about you who are able to deliver on your manifesto pledges and promises. Now, we've seen this failure with Labour. Take into account the people that are in their cabinet that are underqualified and they're under-delivering because they're not fit for purpose. I could name them, but Rachel from Accounts and Jonathan Reynolds and so many others who claim to have wonderful CVs who have no experience whatsoever when it comes to their roles within the cabinet. This is the same problem with Reform. Reform are surrounded by people who I believe don't have the caliber or the entrepreneurship, if you like, or experience to be able to govern, because let's remember, this isn't about being in opposition. This is about becoming the next prime minister. And I absolutely believe, and people will call me batshit crazy for saying this, that Ben Habib will become the prime minister of number 10. Hashtag that, Ben for 10. That's my opinion.
Do you honestly believe that?
Absolutely, 100%. We are 4 years away from the next general election. 4 years. Now, let me remind you that Reform was sat on 30,000 members back in July when the election was called.
Right.
Now, they say on their ticker, which, by the way, is independently verified. Okay, let's leave that there. I think I might still be on there as a member, even though I resigned. I still get their emails. Their growth when Farage came back into the party, when you consider it took them it took them five years to get to 30,000. It's taken us 5 months. Now if that doesn't shake people and wake people up and realize that we're a credible force, I don't know what will. That is pretty serious, right? So we've got that happening. And I think, as I've said, I think what we have with Ben is a serious principled politician, successful businessman who understands what it takes to make this nation great again. Farage is, as I've said, he's a great speaker, great orator, but when it comes to policy, it's top down. You know, Farage says, we're going to do this. No, let me give you an example. What did he say about mass deportation? You remember?
At the beginning of the election, he had a lot of heavy stance on mass deportation. And obviously, once he got in, the first 4 months of being a part of the member of parliament, I believe that's my camera gone.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Well, he said it couldn't be done. So he said we'll do it. Then he said it couldn't be done. Take the trans argument that we have right now, and the minister that he has in charge of that, not in governmental power. The trans issue, women's safety spaces, women-only safety spaces. Have you heard what Farage has said about that? Have you heard what he said about Northern Ireland? It's inevitable that Northern Ireland will become, independent. It's inevitable they'll become a republic. And yet, Northern Ireland is part of Great Britain. But he has given it over. We didn't get Brexit done. We left the border in the Irish Sea. And all of these things that Farage is coming out with are really absurd in consideration where he was when he stood on the manifesto back in July. And I think, as I've mentioned before, this isn't about a revengeful or egotistical attempt to bring Farage down. I'm sure there are so many wonderful people, and I know them, they're friends of mine within the Reform Party. And I can say that, and if there are viewers watching this, I've got wonderful friends within Reform. But I cannot trust Nigel Farage. But I have a level of trust for Ben Habib, watching his track record and what he has done to deliver for the British people. And I believe.
But what is so? Here's where it becomes a little bit of a problem. You see, people have seen Nigel Farage. They've seen him mess up. He used to be in the European Union. He used to talk for all of us before Brexit. He used to go out there and make noise and he's been in politics for a very long time. They've seen him. People know Ben Habib on the low, meaning like, yeah, he was a guy that used to be behind the scene of this party, or he was a guy that helped this guy. But they've not seen him like picking up the dumbbells and be like, ooh, look how strong that guy is. I mean, we've seen Nigel Farage go against individuals questioning. I mean, he's in parliaments right now, he's making stands, he's making comments, and we are like, okay, maybe we like what he's doing, maybe we don't. But we've not seen much from Ben Habib. And obviously you saying you can't trust Nigel Farage. Hey, I have no pig running in this game. I just want the best for the country, and whoever can deliver that will get my thing.
Right.
And we have to scrutinize every single person. Now, since you're here defending Ben Habib, tell me what has Ben Habib done that you think that's a good leader for me, and tell me what Nigel Farage has done that makes you feel that's not for me. Tell me, give me a whole list. So let's go through this.
Yeah, there's a few questions there. I want to address one of the questions first about Ben Habib's name. Okay. Of course, he wasn't the front face of Reform, but he was the deputy leader. And when Nigel Farage left the party and dumped them, because that's what he did, it was him, Ben Habib, along with Richard Tice, who kept the party going.
Right.
If it hadn't been for Ben Habib, the party would have finished. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing you mentioned, who is Ben Habib? Did you see him on the 13th of September at the Tommy Robinson rally in front of potentially 50 million people that watched his speech about Advance UK? In fact, they had more viewing figures that night than Sky News, than the BBC, Channel 4, BBC Wales. You can put all the news channels together. Ben Habib was seen by more people than any other channel that night. And it is a case of people may not have known of Ben Habib before. And we've got 4 years, and we have got a plan, a mission, a strategy, not to get Ben Habib's name out there, although he is the face and he is a fantastic leader, very intelligent, very astute, very knows his stuff inside out. But we've got a whole, hundreds and thousands of people that have joined the party that believe in what this man has said, not in what he has said, but the mission statement on our website. If you go to advanceuk.org.uk, you can find it there. That realized, hang on a minute, this guy knows his stuff. And if you've watched, I know you said he's been on your show, if you've watched any of his material, interviews that he's done countless amount of times, it's clear to me that this guy knows his gravy, okay? And if I had to choose between Farage and Ben Habib, I would choose Ben Habib straight away, without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah, and people would say, well, to me, well, Farage is more well known. Farage is, listen, Farage went into the
you didn't really give me the answer though, like, because I want to know what's the. All right, let's play in this. Give me 5 lists that makes you believe and know, because you got so much conviction here, and this is the way people sell. Politics is all about words and perception and making it seem like it's reality for everybody and making people believe that way. So, of course, you are selling you are selling Ben Habib, Advance UK, and all this thing. Could you give me 5 lists of like, bam, 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 bam? That's why Ben Habib is the guy and Advance UK is the way. And also give me like bam, 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 bam. That's why Nigel Farage is not the guy to trust. Just because viewers at home, I think I'm one of those guys as well. I sit here, I listen to a lot of people talk, and they say this is the way, but they never actually give out like the real reason why that is the way. And a lot of people have been discovering that, and they're doing their own research. And because they don't have the power or the medium power to be able to go and ask front question themselves, they rely on people like myself to ask somebody like you the question. So give me those 5 reasons if you can, please. And then we'll probably get into more of the latest news today, which we want to get into. And please.
Yeah, let me begin with Nigel. I reversed the question, the 5 things, and obviously I've got no bullet points. I have no notes. I've come, completely spontaneous. I think firstly to say that Nigel Farage, without him, there would be no Reform Party. Farage is Reform, Reform is Farage. He is a cult figure. He is charismatic, and that's why the reason why people follow him, because he ties into the anger of the nation and taps into that sense of injustice that people feel, but he uses it for his own benefit. Secondly, he owns more shares within the Reform Party, which does not make it democratic. How can that be a democratic party? It cannot. Thirdly, of course, and I don't like to speak ill of people.
Right. Yeah.
This is a man who has rejected. This is a man who has rejected Tommy Robinson. Okay, he has thrown him under the bus countless times, making all kinds of ludicrous allegations against him, unfounded allegations against a man who has literally, through his activism, gone to jail for speaking up for people that are victims of grooming gangs and rape gangs in our country. And Farage has thrown him under the bus. That's just 3 things. I'm not going to give you 5. 3 is enough, I think. Now I'm going to come to Ben Habib. Right. So, as I've said, Farage left Reform and Ben Habib took it from a certain percentage to about 16% in the membership. He grew the membership without Farage before he came back in. Ben Habib is consistent. I said to you earlier on the show, Baraka, I interviewed him in 2016 when he talked about, and he's passionate about Northern Ireland, because he knew, and the coastal communities in our country as well, that have been left behind by consecutive governments and will be left behind by Reform as well. They were during Brexit. They were neglected, the coastal communities. We have a border down the Irish Sea. What is that about? That wasn't Brexit. So he didn't get that done. Ben Habib has been and travelled. I know this, and your viewers may know this. He is a champion for Northern Ireland. And he's been over there countless times in debates and discussions and, talking to those within the DUP and everything else in Stormont to talk about gaining back and being part of the union, because they're still part of the EU in some of their training because of Sinn Féin and all these other groups. So Ben has been very, very honest and very truthful. The third thing is this. I think it's the most important thing, actually. I was at the launch in Newcastle last week.
Right.
I had the honour of speaking there, and I was really humbled that they asked me to speak there, actually, because most people can't understand my accent because I'm Welsh. So it was a privilege.
That's good.
But what really impressed me, and I think what was important, and I can only say, you get a vibe, you just feel someone. He's a genuine person who really cares about his country. And I'm not saying Nigel Farage doesn't, but I've met Nigel. He came to my constituency twice when I stood in 2019 as a Brexit Party candidate in Blaenau Gwent, in Wales, where I was standing. Completely different people. Ben is such a, we had our dinner, we had the launch, we had the dinner, and he got up, and you know what he said? And it really, really impressed me. He said, folks, we're not going to win by fighting. We're not going to win by taking up arms, in a sense. We're not going to win by, superiority or being arrogant or bashing other parties. Do you know what he said?
What are you saying?
We're going to win with love. If we love our country and we love the people of this country, we'll have the best interest of this country in mind, then every single policy that we will put in place will be based on those values. And more in particular, Christian values. He wants to restore the Christian constitution upon which our parliament was built upon. And we've seen that being eroded, right in front of our eyes at the moment, since the Blair era in the 90s, since the open borders. And he's done it in such a way that he's not an angry man. He's so gentle. He's a lot shorter than I thought he was. He's shorter than me. I'm not tall, but he's short. But he carries a real presence. He's a very successful businessman in his own right. He's intellectual, very different from me. I'm working class, right? So I say it as it is. But yet he understands and he gets it. And those kind of things, it's more than just what he's qualified to do, as opposed to what Farage is qualified to do because he's been in politics for longer. Yeah. I just find Ben Habib someone that I believe a lot of people, and you've seen this in 5 months, over 35,000 people.
Yeah, I have to give it up to him. I met him in person, and cool guy, I have to say. Very warm, shakes their hands very well. His hand is strong. You shake it, you feel that you're shaking a man's hand. And I like that. You can kind of tell who you're talking to by the way they shake your hand. If they're just like, don't talk to that person. He's just going to give you some negativity. But, hey, oh, God. This is why we get demonetized. Fuck.
Absolutely. Yeah. I understand.
But he's a really cool guy. He's a really warm person to have a conversation with. He's a guy that doesn't need a script. You can just tell that he firmly believes on what he says. So I've given up to him in terms of his personality. The first, I think we spent like good 40 minutes together. So yeah, really cool guy. Now, there's a lot of people saying that, hey, the reason why Ben Habib party, Advance UK, the reason why it's growing is all due to Tommy Robinson's support. It's like a mini Tommy Robinson's party. Yeah. What do you have to say about those guys? What's your message? Because
Well, first of all, Tommy's a great guy. I've known Tommy for some time, and I've always supported his campaigns, and his friends as well are friends of mine. And we have a lot in common because I'm just an ordinary bloke who believes what he's doing is right because what he's speaking truth to power and exposing things. Tommy is a member of Advance UK. He has no senior position. He has no influence over the party. We were running at 20-something or 1,000, whatever it was, before Tommy even came on board. The party was already established and growing, apart from obviously waiting for that benchmark that Ben had set for 30,000 before we registered with the Electoral Commission. And with Tommy coming on board, I mean, it was a surprise to me, I've got to be honest. And not just Tommy, but Elon Musk giving his verbal support to Ben
Yeah.
Habib and having
That
a
was huge.
conversation with Ben Habib as well
That
and
was huge.
explaining to him. He actually told Ben, you need to start a political party because Farage is like weak sauce. You know, this
Weak
is a guy with
sauce.
the biggest social media following in the world on the
Mm-hmm.
biggest freedom of speech platform you can ever imagine on X. And I think what it was for me, I joined before Tommy did, obviously, but I think it showed people, and at that rally on the 13th of September, it was a Freedom Festival speech rally, if you like. The only political figure that responded to speak at that event, guess who it was?
Yeah,
Ben Habib.
that's right.
Farage was nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, that's right as well.
All the other conservative, Kemi Badenoch, nowhere to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Because Labour wouldn't be there, of course, because they think that he's a
Yeah,
racist and
label
a
they
far-right
won't.
plug. And
Yeah.
so what you have to put into context here, Baraka, is and understand that when Ben went to that stage, I'm sure he can talk for himself. I would have been extremely nervous because, I've done a lot of public speaking, but I think I would have been nervous with the
Big,
sense
huge crowd. Yeah.
huge crowd, not just the crowd there, but online as well, like you
Mm-hmm.
when you go podcast.
You can't get
And
anything wrong.
yeah, you can't. We're live now. I can't say nothing wrong now, so I'm being very careful.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things, a huge responsibility. And I listened to his speech, and if you've not taken time to listen to it, I would urge your viewers to listen to what he had to say. And this is a man who will deliver for the British people. It's not blind faith. When you met him there, you spoke to him, you've interviewed him. You can tell your own viewers what you made of him. This is a man who's been called racist, born in Pakistan, however, a British citizen and on the electoral roll, which he has constantly maintained and said that anybody who is a British citizen on the electoral roll can join Advance UK. Even if you don't agree with our policies, that's what freedom of speech and democracy is about. You can join the party. However, what did Reform, how did they treat Tommy Robinson? Let me tell you how they treated him. There's a clip of Richard Tice referring to, I was there at the last one, the one before, when Tommy was put in prison the day before, which he shouldn't have been in there because of Lord Hamer. That's another story altogether. I was at that event and he referred to me as us lot, that lot, on Sky News.
That lot,
I was like, you are? And there were Reform flags flying everywhere,
that's right.
supporting Tommy Robinson.
Right.
And they heard Richard Tice, the deputy leader of Reform UK, say that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think that made them feel?
Mm.
And I really think that what they've done, and in numerous interviews that Mr. Nigel Farage has done, he has made false allegations about Tommy Robinson that have been disproved. NFA, there's no truth in it.
Yeah, he said a lot of stuff. Yeah, he say that
Absolutely. And I think for that reason, a lot of people have defected from Reform. Now, we don't want to be a Reform 2.0. We're starting a brand new political party that is principled and serious. And it will not involve the old way of doing politics. We want to do something completely different, something completely new, with minds and people with experiences from the University of Life that will make up something called the College, which will be the ballast of the party, which will hold the executive and future candidates to account. So we will be democratic from the bottom to the top. All of the parties start from the top to the bottom. Very, very, very different. And that is why, actually, come back to the first question, that is why I got back involved with politics.
Yeah, pretty long journey there. Now,